Welcome to Between the Frames. My name is Captain McKay. These are my lovely Patreon backers. Look at them. Beautiful people. Each and every one of them. We're going to talk a little bit of pro wrestling today. This is one of those things where I promised this a while ago, and I made the video a while ago, and just finally am editing it and compiling it all together. Like 90% of this has been on Patreon for the past couple weeks, so if you already saw it, you don't have to sit here and watch it again, but if you'd like to, great. We're going to go behind the scenes of the most recent JWF WarZone episode, Mankind versus Shawn Michaels. I'm going to just, show a little thing, a little bit of what I did and some other stuff. Wanted to get this video out sooner, but, I've had some things come up. I'll be honest, things have been really kind of weird lately. Don't know really how to explain it any better than that, but sometimes you just get a gut feeling, something's not quite right. But I will say that the people who did watch JWF WarZone seemed to like it, and hopefully they get a kick out of seeing how it all came together. Additionally, I did post the WarZone full match on the Super Tiger Pro Wrestling Instagram, so that's all up at this point right now. I usually end up posting the clips, and each clip gets like a pretty decent amount of views, where like if you add them all up, it's way more than the actual full-length video on YouTube. But that's to be expected. That's just kind of how things are right now. So two totally separate audiences are getting to watch this match and enjoy it in totally different ways, I guess. And hey, it doesn't bother me any. I just get to basically post the same video twice, so that's cool. After we go over the making of, I'm going to just talk about some new, wrestling figures, basically, and some different things I got. This is going to be a whole big wrestling episode, so if you are into that kind of thing, stick around. Probably going to be some stuff you like. Just realized I've been doing this entire thing without my lights on. Disgrace. I'll put the lights on when we're doing the outro. How's that? I mean, it'll have to do. Just been doing some stuff for the new WarZone episode, just like little clips here and there. I just tried to animate this figure, this basic Shawn Michaels with one of the new Ultimate head sculpts. Terrible knee articulation, no ankle articulation, awful arm articulation. Somewhere along the line they redesigned all these basic figures and they're just terrible now. So why did I try to animate this? I don't know. I just wanted to see if I could, I guess. He jumps off the top rope and does an elbow drop. I don't know if I'm even going to use it. If you see it, then you'll know I used it. But if not, then yeah. So here it is, man. The entrance stage, the WarZone itself. Vintage, and I do mean vintage. I made this years and years ago. There's a video on my channel where I'm actually showing exactly what I'm doing to make this. But if you're new here, if you don't want to go digging around the old videos, basically just the same insulation foam that I use for most of my dioramas. That thinner concrete pieces are like the thin foam boards with different color paint on it. And these are more of the same 1-inch thick insulation foam pieces. So this piece has had a complete overhaul. It's been stripped down, taken apart, repainted, and reassembled. Now you may remember the old WarZone had a kind of a concrete wall with a broken window up there, because at the time I wasn't doing the music and the Titantron entrances and that kind of stuff. And so I didn't really need a screen on it. Since I redid it, I figured, let's put a screen on it. Why not? Also new are these two base pieces that I have on either side here, as well as the kind of standing upright piece. So that way, when you face it that way, it stabilizes it a little bit, so you don't have just kind of a flat piece of foam insulation just kind of trying to balance upright. This actually gives it some weight and levels it out a little bit. So you'll notice those square cutaways in either corner, and that's because I got these pieces from Wrestling Superstore. It's meant to go around the wrestling ring, I think, and there's a rope that goes in between all four of them and you hang a belt or something. I don't know. I just got it because I like these pieces, and what you're meant to do is put those in there. Now this is twofold. Number one, because it looks kind of plain without it, and you may remember that there were designs and logos and stuff on this back in the day. When I repainted it, I didn't put the logos back on, and the reason is because I knew I was going to be putting these there. But also, in kayfabe, it kind of made sense, because the reason why there hasn't been WarZone in so long is because we've been off the air, according to the video. So why would there be any advertisements? Nobody's paying for any advertising, because we're not even on the air. But yeah, these stick right in there like that. You got one on either side. And there you go. That's what it's looking like. It's a little plain, a little stripped down from what it used to look like as far as the advertisements and stuff. But I like this, man. I think it's really cool. There's Stone Cold there for scale, and you know, it's the exact same size as it used to be. I'm just using newer figures with it now, so I like it. I think it's pretty good, and it serves its purpose. You know, it's not supposed to be super elaborate. WarZone was always kind of like just meant to be kind of you know, like I don't want to say like a low budget wrestling show, but you know, at the time I was just working with what I had, and when I decided to do another episode of WarZone, I wanted to kind of maintain as much of the old school feel as I could. So, you know, very few things were really changed, honestly. It's just a little better production, better equipment, and, you know, a few different things that just made it, you know, similar but different, I guess. So moving on to the ring. There's not a ton to talk about with the ring, but I'll go over it. It's the new gen arena ring from the Mattel Creation set that came out like a year or so ago now. Really nice ring. I actually like this one a lot. This is a great size for me because I never liked the original like elite scale rings because they were always too big. Like that would hang off the table basically. It would just be way too big for my purposes. That's why I always stuck with the Jakks ring, the classic Superstars, whatever it was, WrestleMania 2 ring. And that ring served me very nicely for over a decade. All the stop motion you've seen on this channel has been in that ring up until very recently. So I'm going to continue to use that for Super Tiger probably because I do have that ring mat that Ring Skirts made, and it's, you know, it's still a nice ring. I still like it, so I will be able to get use out of it still. But some minor changes that I did to this one, you'll notice these are not the turnbuckles from the set. I just bought from, I think it's Wrestling Superstore again, I just bought plain blue turnbuckles, and the Super Tiger ring I bought the yellow ones. But I wanted it to just have like no WWE branding because in my ridiculous brain, like having WWE on the turnbuckles this whole time has just annoyed me, and now I finally just decided like, why don't I just spend a couple bucks and take care of that. So probably something I should have done a long time ago just to put my own mind at ease, but I didn't until now, and I think it looks good. I also, what you'll see here is that these are stitched ring skirts. These are not the skirts from this ring. These are the ones that used to come with the classic deluxe Jakks wrestling figures. But I had to fold it over and stitch it because otherwise it would have come up too high and it would have like been up over the edge of the ring. Like you can see, it is up over the lip of the ring as is. Like you can probably see the black border like that. It would have been much, much higher, and I don't like the look of that. So I did have to sew these down, but I wanted just plain skirts, you know. I didn't want to have like, you know, Raw's War or WrestleMania or whatever the ones that came with this ring, which would have been like in your house and, you know, that stuff. Maybe one of these days I'll get JWF ones printed up. I'll hit ring skirts up again, see what he can do. But for now I like the plain look. And moving on, we got the stairs. Now I actually have two sets of these stairs. My man Devin actually sent me his from the New Gen Arena because I guess he had some extra steps. So he hooked me up with one of these and one of the black sets. And I was like, you know what, if I got both sets of stairs, I'm going to use both sets of stairs. Which is why I was able to make pretty nice use out of both sets of stairs in that match. So, big shout out to Devin. Appreciate you helping me out. And hopefully you enjoyed seeing them being put to good use. Put to violent use. But overall, that's kind of what the arena looks like. I mean, obviously I did take down like the backdrop over there. So, it's, you know, you wouldn't see just the white wall in the back of the crowd. You would see there was just like a black poster board there. But, yeah, nothing really too complicated. It's very reminiscent of the old JWF WarZone. I think the old one actually had all red ropes, but I just used these ropes because the red ones I have are like really, they lost their tension. So like it would have just been like hanging down and it wouldn't have looked as good. So maybe I'll get some new ropes at some point, but for now these work. Actually, this one's pretty loose too, I didn't think about it, but I don't care as long as it looks good on camera. Ran off a bunch of business cards ahead of a local con last year. It's called Toys in Action. It was a good show. I had a lot of fun. Passed a few of these out. Printed it on a little flimsy paper though, so, you know, I got to sort that out, polish it up a little bit. Got that Futuro font going hard, just like in the videos, you know. It's carrying all the weight, it's paying all the bills for me. So definitely wanted to talk about some of the music I did for this episode of WarZone. Now, since I haven't used Mankind since I started doing any of the, you know, music myself, I figured let's record some Mankind music. So I actually took the sound effect from the beginning of his actual theme, like that part of it, because you know you need that. It's Mankind's music. And the rest of it is, it's very simple. It's just some guitar tracks and a little like simple drum beat. Yeah. That's all you got. And you get your little drums in there and your whatever else is happening here. So something like that is pretty easy. Like, I don't know, if you play, you kind of know that's not a difficult thing. And if you don't play, you can at least recognize that it's a pretty easy to recognize pattern, I would say. Now, the funny thing is, since Rite of Passage, I actually lost track of some of my audio files. I think they were on an old computer, and I might have just forgot to transfer them over. So I had to redo Shawn Michaels' music. Fun little thing about that, though, is that somebody actually ripped just the vocals from his actual theme song and posted them like a cappella to YouTube. I know I'm sexy. I've got the looks. Yeah, etc. Now, you can obviously tell the quality is terrible. But it doesn't matter because you're going to be mixing it with a whole bunch of other stuff anyway. So, you know, if it's buried in the mix, all you need to do is know it's there. Your ear does the rest for you. I know I'm sexy. I've got the look. So yeah, I mean, it's fun. You do a little bit of messing around, and like I said, you know, this is just me hacking around in here with a couple instruments and rearranging some things. So I think it's fun. It just adds a little bit of something extra custom to JWF, and I don't have to worry about YouTube cops coming knocking at my door saying you're doing copyright crimes, McKay. And I say, yeah, well, it's a war zone out there. Yeah, got some new figures in the house too. Just got this in today, actually. This is from Burnout Inc. He sent this over because I've been having a hell of a time finding these Walmart Ruthless Aggression series figures. Like, I think I finally saw them in person for the first time, like, just about a week ago. It's been rough out here. But anyway, this is Kevin Nash, obviously. This is kind of based on when the NWO came back to WWE. The only other elite Kevin Nash I have is the one that I've used for Super Tiger. He's got kind of the red fringe, and it says Nash across the chest. This same head sculpt, I believe. It's just darker hair. But I wanted to get an update because this one has the pinless double jointed elbows and the swap out hands. And this one actually comes with an NWO cloth shirt too, which is always welcome. The swap out hands he comes with are just two of these click gesture, you know, Wolfpack hands. So there with the shirt on and the hands swapped out. I like this, man. This is really cool. I've always said, like, the double jointed elbows and like swap out hands and stuff would just add so much to the elite line, even going like all the way back. But yeah, I gotta tell you, ever since they started adding them like regularly to this line, it's really improved the line in my opinion, and couldn't pass up on the Ultimate Edition Razor Ramon. This is a nice figure too. Razor Ramon, in terms of like my timeline as a wrestling fan, he was a little before my time, but obviously I knew who Scott Hall was. So when they inevitably just redo this figure as an Ultimate Scott Hall, I'll probably get that too. But for now, this one's really good. The Ultimate line is like the best stuff that Mattel's doing right now, in my opinion, except for that Eddie Guerrero figure that looks like he's straight out of like WWE All-Stars or whatever that game was. But yeah, Razor looks great. I mean, his faces are expressive, and he's got all the hands and everything. Comes with the Intercontinental Championship too, if that's your thing. If you don't have a figure with this already, this is a good way to get that belt. 3 different head sculpts on this guy. I prefer the ones on the far left, the smiling one and kind of like the disgusted looking one. The straight face one is not bad, but the more expressive ones definitely capture the likeness a little more, in my opinion. Yeah, man, that's why I love these Ultimate figures. The butterfly joints, the double jointed arms and legs, pinless, and the toe joints and everything just make it so you end up with a much more expressive looking figure. Like, come on. Like, come on. If you wanted to, you can kind of piece together a Ultimate Edition Scott Hall. These are some Ralph's Figure Gear pants that I bought years and years ago. And this is actually the NWO shirt that came with the Nash I just showed. I like this. This is actually kind of part of the reason why I wanted that Nash as well, just so I can get the shirt. And yeah, this looks pretty good. And there you go. Outsiders, baby. The skin tones actually match too, so you can put those Wolfpack Kevin Nash hands onto the Scott Hall, and, you know, they can do a little like too sweet to each other. Look at that. Yeah, that's right. 38 years old. This is what I'm doing. So this is AEW Supreme Kenny Omega. This is actually the first of the Supreme figures I've gotten. I've seen the Britt Baker, which looks really nice, but Kenny was one I wanted to get because you can do a lot with him. He comes with, obviously, this coat with the arms. It's very similar to the WWE Elite, or not Elite, I'm sorry, Ultimate figures, where you can pop the arms out and replace them with just, you know, bare arms. And they're all pinless too, which is nice. The standard Jazwares figures don't have the pinless arms, so this is nice. They're also made of like a sturdier plastic too, which compared to like the Unrivaled line, where it's like a softer, kind of more rubbery plastic, these are more solid, so I do like that. Two face sculpts for Kenny, one with like a kind of a smarmy grin, the other's got him looking like a kind of a cocky, real arrogant heel. They are like different, even though they're both like kind of smiling faces, but the facial hair and stuff is different. So, you know, in like a stop motion or something, for example, it wouldn't make any sense to like switch back and forth between the two heads because they do look quite a bit different. And there you go. Future's looking bright, baby. The jacket is off. He's got just the regular wrestling gear on now. So they did implement butterfly joints too, which don't give you a ton of movement forward, but back they work pretty well. So just something to keep in mind. I do like it though, and you know, hey, more articulation is never a bad thing, especially when it doesn't really affect the look of the figure. And to me, this doesn't. So this is what I like about this figure a lot. You can actually just pop off the bottom half of the figure entirely. Like most of the AEW figures just pop off at the waist because it's a ball joint in there, which makes for a lot of like pop and swap customizable options. But this one comes with like the street gear, like the jeans and everything. And he does have this soft goods shirt too, which I do like, but it is a little like on the thicker side. So compared to like the Mattel shirts, like the NWO one that I showed before, that's like a much thinner fabric, which kind of lays a little more naturally on the figure. This is a little bit thicker, but I don't think this is bad at all. It's just kind of an observation. But yeah, he comes with alternate hands and everything too, so he can do his like gun pose, and he's got like open hands too that I had on the jacket earlier. So yeah, definitely a lot of cool options with this figure, and he comes with the microphone that you see there and the AEW championship, so pretty good. Another thing I like about these AEW figures is a lot of the compatibility. Like, so any of these figures that have like the same skin tone, you can just share hands with all of them too, and that's the same for like WWE Elites and stuff too, but AEW started kind of out the gate with that, so they were pretty forward thinking in that regard, and I appreciate it. So here he is on the end with other versions of Kenny Omega that I have, going all the way back to like the Series 1 version here, and it's amazing to see how far they've come with this line. Like seriously, this Series 1, this is the earliest version of Series 1. They've since like gone back and re-released this figure, but this is the first version of it, so it has like the really pale skin tone that they haven't corrected yet. But even in terms of like just the facial likeness and stuff, so like if you look, the more recent ones are just much more detailed, and it's really cool. And you can of course switch some of the heads from the older figures onto the new body, so long as the skin tones match. Well, you know what, even if they don't match, you're allowed to do it, whatever. I don't know your life. It's probably gonna look stupid though. And just like with the heads, if you wanted to switch the entire lower body out for one of the earlier versions, you can definitely have that option too. This is the Series 1 gear. You might be wondering, like, why would you not just use like another figure if you're going to go so far as to like switch the gear? Well, in the case of Series 1, like I said, the skin tone is much better on the newer figures, so you might want to just have that be an option for you, and I think all the gear will swap over too. I will say that switching away from the Supreme style gear means you do lose the toe articulation, which is pretty nice, I gotta say. I never really realized the importance of toe joints until I animated some of the Ultimate Edition figures, the WWE ones, and they all have the toe joints. So honestly, I kind of get why they're so good now, and like missing out on those if you're doing like a stop motion, well, maybe you would opt to just keep the Supreme figure complete. I mean, even the sneakers have the toe joints, so you know, that's how you know you're getting in some good stuff. And we saved the best for last. That is the best there is, best there was, and best there ever will be. Yeah, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Ultimate Edition Bret Hart, the Target one that was released a couple months ago. This is pretty much a re-release of that Ringside Collectibles exclusive that was many, many years ago now, the pink and black attack one. This figure blows that one out of the water, there's no question. I actually sold that figure a long time ago because it was going for like stupid money, and then turns out I made the right call, because not long after I sold it, they announced this one, and this pretty much outdoes it in every way. So hey, good timing sometimes happens for me. As head sculpts go for Bret Hart, this one is not bad. Mattel has never like really like nailed Bret Hart's head sculpt for me. I've done some modding on the original Ultimate Edition Bret Hart heads, which I'll get in here in a little bit, but as straight out of the box ones go, this one's pretty good. The hair is definitely a little on the long side, but I can live with that. Then we got kind of like an entrance one where like his hair is a little more disheveled in his face. Got to get the shades on for this. Alright, yeah. That's not bad. I don't mind that. The jacket looks like it's pretty much the same sculpt as the previous Ultimate Edition figure, the jacket, which it's painted differently, but I mean this is the jacket that he wore during this match that this is depicting, so a lot of detail on it, which I do like. And, you know, the original Elite version had that one-piece jacket with the arms straight down and you couldn't move it, so this is a huge, huge improvement over that. So I brought in the previous Ultimate Edition figure to compare to the new one, and yeah, these jackets, if they're not completely identical, they're very, very similar. You can see like the zippers and stuff would have been painted over on this one because it's got those white like pocket design things. But I do believe they're the same thing. This figure is engineered completely differently from this first release though, although this first one did get re-released recently, and I believe it had the double jointed pinless arms for the wrestling gear, but not for the jacket. And this one has the pins in the arms and the jacket too, which I mean honestly doesn't really bother me that much, so it's not a huge deal. However, his arms for the ring gear do have the pinless double jointed elbows, whereas the original one had the double jointed elbows with the pins. So if that's make or break for you, then you know, just know that that's the case, I guess. But, you know, like I said, it's not a huge deal for me, but this definitely does look better if I do have the option. So yeah, looking at these side by side, now that I got the gear on them, I think it's a pretty big improvement as far as like proportion and aesthetic goes. The new one, I think, looks a lot better. See, Series 2, when this Bret came out, they were still kind of working out the kinks in the Ultimate Edition line, so you kind of got that weird like torso cutaway. You're missing the butterfly joints. Like I said, you got the pins in the arms and stuff. So, you know, people can kind of take that or leave it, depends on what you like. I do think the likenesses on the head sculpts of the original one are better, but I did have to like cut around a lot of the hair and the strands and everything to make that, you know, to kind of bring that likeness out. As for the gear, it's kind of like up in the air which one you like better, like the white design with the stars or the black design with the skulls. Kind of your call, really. I do like the splatter paint design on the first release a lot, but there's something kind of a little bit cleaner about this one that I, you know, definitely appreciate. Should be noted that something cool this figure has is the butterfly joints. So his actually work really well. Like you can pull his arms pretty far in front of his body like that, and they do pull back at the shoulders quite a bit as well. So you can get a lot more range out of the shoulders on this new version than you can on the old one. Ever since the Ultimate Edition started implementing these butterfly joints like this, I've just, you know, I basically just swore off Elites right then and there. Like, don't get me wrong, Elites are still nice, but like, as for animating and posing and the stuff that I like to do, you cannot beat this. This is so good. Something new that I haven't actually experimented with much is these have like drop down hips. So like, normally you get the leg about that far out in front, but like if you pull the hip down, that gives you like a little bit more range to pull the leg even farther out in front, which means you're gonna be able to do like deeper poses with the figure. That means putting another figure in the sharpshooter, probably going to be able to happen with this. Yeah, there it goes. You got the legs pretzeled around. You got him squatting down nice and deep. Kenny looking like he's in pain. Sorry, Kenny. Yeah, I really, really like this, man. And of course, it's Bret Hart, so you got to lead with the left leg when you do the sharpshooter. It's the details, people. Sting leads with the right. Owen leads with the right. Most people lead with the right. Not Bret. And you can use the heads from the previous Ultimate Edition figure on here as well, which they sit a little high on the peg, but the likeness is much better. I mean, like I said, once you trim around all the excess hair that was hanging in the face, like, I don't know, they made some weird questionable choices with the hair on the first release where it's like kind of all like hanging in big clumps in his face. So yeah, I like this though. And if for some reason you don't like the all pink jacket, you can use the black jacket that came with the previous Ultimate Edition. So I gotta say, man, I really like that Mattel has been providing us with a lot of options and a lot of compatibility. Said the same thing about Kenny Omega and the Jazwares stuff too. Like once you start buying more of these, the amount of stuff that you can pop and swap together is just, it's really good, you know? And what's cool is maybe if you want to like do displays or something, like even if you wanted a jacket on this new one, if you didn't want to go out and buy a whole new Bret from the Series 2, like the one that got re-released, to get like the pinless double jointed arms, the arms will pop right into the new figure as well. So like if you just want to use the better upgraded arms on your older figure, you can just do that. You don't got to buy a whole new one. So yeah, man, this is really cool. I like this. Yeah, man, with all the advancements and stuff that Mattel's been making, like in terms of just the articulation and the, you know, the smoother engineering and everything, like this is probably my favorite Ultimate Edition figure that they've done. He's got it all. He's got the aesthetics, he's got the swappable parts, he's got all the articulation I could ever want. I'd love to do some stop motion with this one day. Either this one, or there's actually an upcoming one that they announced in like the Monday Night Wars Ultimate Edition series, where I think it's based on like late '97, which pretty much means it could be an Ultimate Edition version of this, like, which is this is based on Canadian Stampede, but they could just basically like swap the pink and white here and make like a Survivor Series '97 figure or whatever the case. That would be great. I would love that figure. In fact, now that I'm thinking about that, I might find the original head for this one and just sell it, because I could just use that money to buy the new one and I'd still have some left over. But I probably won't though, because I really like this figure. But anyway, I'd say this Ultimate Bret is probably my favorite of the Ultimate Edition so far. They continue to do really cool figures, and I'm always eager to see what's next. Again, except for that Eddie Guerrero. What is going on with that torso? Like, why does he have a freaking Batista torso? The end is upon us. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, both you know, the making of, as far as like how I did the video, as well as like some of the new figures I got. Every once in a while I like to dive back into wrestling. It's always cool to just kind of get back into something that I'm oh so familiar with from, you know, years and years gone by, that since I've started doing JWF, like 2010 or whatever that was. Thinking of the amount of time that I've spent like doing that instead of like, you know, going out and like meeting new people. Want to thank you again. Got the lights on like I promised on the way out, so you know, hopefully that's cool. Hopefully you like that. A little bit of presentation goes a long way. We'll see. Thank you again for watching. My name is Captain McKay. If you want to go check out the Patreon, by all means. If you want to just check out Super Tiger Pro Wrestling or my own personal Instagram where I post a bunch of nonsense, go right ahead. In fact, there was even an animation that went up pretty recently. It's a Godzilla thing that I did. Pretty short. It's only like 30 seconds, but it's cool. I had a lot of fun making it. So if you want to check that out, my Instagram is the place. It'll probably end up on the channel in another video at some point, but for now, that's where it is. Thank you again for stopping in, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next one. Later on.